Okay, I think this is going to be one of my longer pieces today. A century ago, Congress passed a maritime law in the wake of World War I that was seen as essential for national defense and commerce. But the old law created difficulties for coastal states like California. It has limited the type of ships that can bring in needed fuel. Now, after the war in Iran sent gas prices soaring, the Trump administration has set the law aside, and the shift is opening new pathways for fuel to reach the Bay Area and elsewhere in California, including shipments from Gulf Coast refineries. The 1920 law, called the Jones Act, prevents ships registered in foreign countries from transporting goods between U.S. ports. One of the ideas was to bolster commerce on American ships. It has an outsized impact on California. The state has no pipelines bringing fuel in, leaving marine transport as one of the only import options, although I do think it's being brought in on trucks from like Texas. That relative isolation is one of several reasons California's oil prices are higher than the rest of the nation's. It's not exactly true. A lot of the fees that Californians pay on gas is from taxation. That report came out last month, and I should probably highlight that in another piece. Foreign flagged ships have occasionally moved fuel between U.S. ports under narrow exemptions, such as for emergencies like hurricanes, but those exemptions have generally affected the Eastern Gulf Coast, not California. The waiver took effect on March 18th and will last until May 17th, though the Trump administration is now signaling it may keep the waiver in place longer. And I think I said earlier that it has, I think, been extended another 90 days. So far, 9 shipments of gasoline and other petroleum products have been sent to California, 5 to Los Angeles, and 4 carrying gasoline and blending components to the port of Martinez. Martinez is a major fuel distribution hub with a refinery in the city. The next shipment will arrive in Martinez on April 29th. The ships registered to the Marshall Islands, Denmark, and Liberia came from Houston and Washington, as well as a local shipment up the Carquinez Strait from nearby Rodeo Selby. A typical medium-range fuel tanker can carry up to 14.5 million gallons. Now, I just want to note here that the flagging thing, it doesn't mean anything. Like, Liberia is a hot spot for flagging because there's very little regulation and taxation, and the same with the Marshall Islands. So you register the ship in these offshore locations for tax purposes and liability, insurance reasons. It's not necessarily that it's owned by a Liberian company. You're registering the ship itself in these offshore jurisdictions for legal protection and taxation protection. Nationally, 44 voyages by foreign flagged vessels have carried petroleum products between U.S. ports. One shipment has gone out from California to Houston. California energy officials said the waiver is bringing incremental supply to the state, adding that the details are confidential under the law. I don't like that that's the case. I think that should be open sourced, but whatever. Analysts say the waiver's main benefit is flexibility. A Jones Act waiver addresses logistics, not supply, one energy expert wrote in Forbes, noting that it allows fuel to move more easily between regions but does not increase overall production. And some experts expect little effect on prices. All of your gasoline prices, 40, sometimes up to 50%, are based on the world market per barrel cost. It has nothing to do with the Jones Act, said the former commissioner of the U.S. Federal Maritime Commission. Jones Act waivers are rare and typically reserved for emergencies. The federal government has suspended the law after major disasters, including hurricanes Katrina, Harvey, and Maria. The current waiver is aimed at easing supply disruptions tied to tensions in the Middle East. This action will allow vital resources like oil, natural gas, fertilizer, and coal to flow freely to U.S. ports for 60 days, according to the White House press secretary. As fuel prices stay high, there is a small but growing clamor to get rid of the Jones Act permanently. And this has been under discussion for, at least since 2022, but obviously probably longer in certain circles.